without further ado, now let me invite the question first from Rehan, okay? Also the chairman for the next ISIT in The Hague. Time is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. My name is Rehan. I am from Dewan, University of Technology. I'm a master student in policy analysis. I have a question regarding how to narrow the gap between research and policy. When we talk about the policy making process, so actually we have been moved from the exercise of material of data, knowledge and research into the exercise of bargaining powers, influence and money usually. So when it's not necessarily the result from a research of certain knowledge is implemented by the policymaker. In a country where the institutional of democracy is already matured, usually the policymaker has its own group of ideology and research group. Like here in the party of Labour Party, they are more socialist and they have a certain body of organization of knowledge. Well, also the Conservative Party has more liberal one. But in not mature country like our country, where the policymaker tend to see the policy from what they will get if I implement this policy, not what is the best. So in this case, the research or the scholars somehow they just be endorsement for the policy that we will take. So here, a thinker from Iran, Suparyati, thought an idea about how to move from scholars to the intellectual. The scholars usually they live in the what is Menara Gading, ivory tower, where they just do their own research and they somehow be just endorsement for any kind of policy or decision making. But intellectual, like scholars, they not only sit and read and write in their room, but they also bring the knowledge to the people. They talk to the people, know the needs and what's the problem in the society. And they actively put their knowledge into the society. They put their research to the public. So this idea about how we as scholars actively engage to the interest of the public is the one that I would like to ask to you about how to actively engage our research into the policy. So we cannot wait that somebody will ask to us, but we also have to bring and make argument and advocation about some policy.
Okay, we've got the questions. So that's the question for both presenters.
Yeah.
First, Bambang mungkin, Pak Henry.
Thank you, Mas Rehan, for your questions. Yeah, basically, I have some answer, even though it's not really definite answer, but only a perspective of the how we as a researcher can contribute to the policy formulations. Maybe the first is from how our thinking, idea thinking, with scientific thinking can part of the policy agenda first, and then the second policy formulations is that is not really easy to go there. We have to something like play with some political game, because we just come to the, for example, to DPR, then Senayan. So they cannot recognize us become only as a researcher. So we have to deliver something that is really significant for the policy. So we need a figure. Maybe some graph that I have sent to you. There are at least 4 different levels. First, the researcher, and at the top is a policy maker. In between, we still have a policy, what we call it, analyst, and then policy, what we call it, like, it's not really the decision maker, but below decision maker. So we still have a 4 level. how our idea can be transformed, become a good policy. So, of course, we cannot just waiting, such as our scientific result become to be transformed to the. We still have some effort to do so. I think there is some advantage to become the part of the big university in Indonesia, like in Gajah Mada University, in ITB, UI, and some others, because we have some recognition from the policymaker, meaning that okay, maybe that guy have a bright knowledge and have enough experience and research on specific things like, for example, fuel subsidy removal, or maybe health insurance or something like that. So we can access to the policymaker to deliver our knowledge. So yes, but do not expect too much. How to do so, like a Bahari. Yes, but yeah, I still remember how and what did say by our senior colleagues, in Gajah Mada University, that when we want to really contribute to the policy, just go to the or maybe close to ring one of the policymaker. That is the only way that you can guarantee your contribution to the policy makers. That's why some my senior become now is the vice president of Indonesia by accident. And some maybe my colleagues support him in the ring one of the vice presidents, and also some seniors in the Department of Finance, and maybe Puyati also have some colleagues in become the vice ministry. That is the most important person to guarantee that our idea, the very good idea, to become the good policy also. So many things you can do, not only just waiting. So, but because I think your knowledge is better than me, the policy process really depend on the political things. So we have to compete with the political party, for example, or maybe some political interest, lobbyists and something like that. So become the pure scientist is important, because we have a clear knowledge, and we have to have some proof that the research can improve the policy, the quality of the policy. But some politicians do not. That you have to make a clear statement that you have something better than politicians have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Perhaps from Lakshmi, just a brief comment if you like to add on.
Oh, I think I know what Pak said. So yes, our political aspect is still very important. In Indonesia, they still influence the process to make a decision making, like what happened during my research. It's also I have to deal with the political bargaining, like well, I would like to apply this concept, and they say, well, this is good, but I would like to become a city manager. So probably it is a good idea to use this value capture concept as one of the campaign. So this kind of thing, but me as a researcher, I should be kind of like pure and kind of like objective. I don't want to become, well, I don't want to join your campaign. So, but I have this idea, and of course, it's kind of like bargaining things during the process. But that's what my experience is.
Okay, right, okay. For how much time have we got? Timekeeper? 6 minutes, great. Personally, if you ask this question, Rehan, to myself, I'm not a politician, I am a scientist, but I could be approachable, okay, as long as the value is there. So, from pragmatic point of view, okay, if I were asked to write something about policy documents, then I would use a different language, not pure scientific language, not use those scientific terminology, definition, jargon, you name it, but try to use the approachable, sensible, understandable notion for those policymakers. Just briefly, talking about clusters, because that's one of my PhD networks, cluster. Well, and a simply question like this. So, what is your understanding about cluster, Mr. Such and Such? Well, basically, we just have to copy the thing that we know from Silicon Valley, right? And then try to implement this, and in that particular context. See, there you go. So that's their understanding, whereby in a scientific community, this is deeper than that. So if I were you, try to understand who is the audience of your paper, okay? Use a sensible approach, language, particularly language, yeah? Do not try to give a difficult terminology. It's better to give do and don'ts with a good case study or narrative, yeah? And try to be, to be more like Indonesian people rather than assertive. You can see from here that I'm very assertive, but when it deals with the Asian community or perhaps Southern European culture, I have to be more like different persons, because that's their culture. Culture is a part of science, and you have to know with whom are you dealing with in order to get your goals. If you don't understand their characteristics, their traits, and their background, it's impossible to get the goal or to get the message across. So it's depend on, again, it's down to you. How would you like to approach those policymakers? What I've been doing now, I'm not a part of any political organization whatsoever in Indonesia, because my network is in Europe. So what I've been trying to disseminate my research is doing a paper, and that's depending, is it a research paper, or is it a bulletin, is it a business approach, business letter, or a book? And bear in mind, later, by the end of the seminar,
May I comment on that?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I think I have to share with you because, indeed, you live in European society, but however, if you want to do something in others, like in Indonesian, you have to learn the culture, etc. This is very important because all of us are coming back to Indonesia mostly, so that actually one thing that I learned from the culture. So if we are going to do something like that, we have to put somebody on our lap. This is Japanese. It doesn't mean that we have to sacrifice our personality or principle. No, but we just want to. So we have to learn how he is, etc. Even the politician, personality, they are different. So if we want to bring a message to someone, we have to know how the message can be accepted. So that the pangku mati, this is the Japanese. So you have to put your whoever being influenced on your lap. But please don't sacrifice your principle and your personality. But just to deal with the message we want to bring. Because I'm afraid if you come from the very developed countries, you are PhD, you feel that we are very, you know everything, overconfident. But we have to be down to earth. But we also have to learn the community we want to contact. Because some communities don't like to face somebody who are low profile. They want to deal with somebody who high profile. So the most important is to learn to whom you are going to deal with. I think that's, sorry to give a comment, but I do agree with you that I need to highlight the importance of the practical, because I've been working the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health, both of them, and luckily most all of the policies being accepted without any single money, because we use their money, so it's better to be used rather than being corrupted. So sorry to say, but it was successfully for 45 years, not by personal, but we have to collaborate it with our colleagues. I do have experience with UKI, UKM, and all the medical schools. We work hand in hand, we embrace, we are very strong to deal with the minister, and they become very approachable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, maybe I would like to share.
Yes, just a brief one.
Yes.
Okay, we only have 1 minute.
Yeah, maybe I represent from the government because I'm working in a central bank. I think one very important thing is if we are doing a research or we are going to deal with the policymaker, we are not doing just for a short term.
Yeah.
Because for a long, like Professor Yanti said that already 45 years, so we have to make a very good relationship between the researchers and the policymakers. That's very important because in Indonesia, I just know that they only do just a very short-term relationship and then finish. We have some project and then after the project's finished, so that's I think the biggest problem is because we don't have a very long relationship between the researchers and the policymakers. Thank you very much.
Timekeeper, how much time have you got? 0. Right. In that case, that's the end of the third session. Big applause for the presenters. Now we've got a break, but I'll give the floor back to the MC.
Yeah, this is the end of the third section. We will have 15 minutes, 12 minutes, sorry, 12 minutes coffee break. We have apples, bananas, juice. And if you guys want to have coffees or teas, we have it at the first floor. And yeah, some of the consumption section will provide the tea and coffee. Enjoy. We'll be back in 15:15.